Welcome to our Gallop TV preview show for the 6th of June, Tuesday, where we race at the Vaal. And I just want to let you guys know that it's something unusual due to studio maintenance. We are recording the show 2 days ahead, so keep an eye on scratchings and declarations because it is 48 hours before the running on Tuesday's race meeting. That will begin at 12:15. We've got 8 races carded, and the first race is over 1,000 meters, and it is the start of the Barpot. Well, we'll welcome Alistair Cohen, whom I had the pleasure of spending some time with over the weekend at Hollywoodbets Scottsville. And it was one of those memorable days on Saturday, Alistair.
Geez, it was one of my favorite meetings that I've attended in a very, very long time. I absolutely loved it. And not necessarily because of the results. Obviously, they played fair. But I think just the way that the crowds came to Hollywoodbets Scottsville, the quality that we saw, and the day was just a real well-oiled machine. So everything was excellent. I mean, I got back in good spirits. So I was very, very happy to be part of it. And let's do it again this Saturday with the Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge, where quite a few Hollywoodbets Durbanville contenders will be seen. And there will be quite a lot of final rolls of the darts, especially in the Cup Trial on Saturday. So that will be another huge meeting. That'll probably be the last sort of obstacle getting into the big one on the 1st of July. As for this card at the Vaal, I quite like it. I think I found a few at reasonable prices. Don't get me wrong, there are a couple of races which look very tricky, but overall, I think we're going to do okay.
Okay, let's go through it then. Race 1, the start of the Barpot. I've taken down the betting. Hollywoodbets proudly bringing you the betting. And at the time of recording, horses that are in single figures: number 9 at 7-1, 10 at 4-1, 11, 28 to 10, 12 at 4-1. But I've actually jotted down a few runners here, Alistair, that I like in the first leg. Number 2, Charge Ahead, is a 10-1 shot. 6, Just Nuisance, is a 10-1 shot. And number 8, Super Awesome, at 12-1. I've just taken down the betting of those horses because looking at their profile and what they've done to date, which is limited, like the entire field, I think there's scope to come from those 3 horses, numbers 3, 6, and 8. So, this race, 28 to 10, number 11, Sean Terry's runner, possibly the right horse in the field, but I think you could get a nice trifecta quartet dividend here.
I agree with you on the horses that you found at a bigger price, because there are 2 horses that are on single figures that I don't particularly like. There are 9 Tyson the Brave and 12 Stormy Choice. And I think of those 3 horses that you've mentioned, double figures, I think they'll finish in front of both 9 and 12. But I do think the winner is between 10 and 11, Vivacious Vicky and 11 French Duchess. I know they're the 2 at the top of the boards. French Duchess is very closely related to, I want to say, Rain and Holland. I think she is closely related to Rain and Holland. I think the mare is a 3-part sister to Rain and Holland. So very close ties, obviously, with Sean Terry and Drakenstein stud. And I watched her very closely on her debut. She was unlucky not to get closer to Calamoretta, and I think with natural improvement, she'll take a significant step forward. And with a clear run, I think she could be the one they all need to beat. Vivacious Vicky is kept some fairly high regard by Stuart Pettigrew. I know he was seething with the debut, not that it was anyone's fault, but he expected a lot better. And then second time out, he just didn't find a kick over the closing stages. He's a full brother to Vaar's Vicky, number 10, Vivacious Vicky. He's got a long way to go to get to those standards, but I think that he's going along in the right direction. And then those 3 horses at a price, I think they can definitely make trifectas and quartets pay, numbers 3, 6, and 8, with preference between those 3 for number 8, Super Awesome. 2 runs in Joburg have been good behind nice horses in the form of Prince of Green and Real Relief. The Prince of Green form especially strong, with White Pearl being just 1 winner out of that form, and I think there will be quite a few to follow. I think Mocha Frappe is going to win soon. That finished just ahead of Super Awesome, so I'd watch out for another nice run from the son of Cape Town Noir.
Will you be comfortable with numbers 10 and 11 in the Barpot, or you want to include the 8?
I will be comfortable because I do think the winner's going to be 10 or 11, D's.
10 and 11 in the first leg of the Barpot. On to the place accumulator, race number 2 over 1,000 meters at the time of recording. Of course, all run. That's a field of 13. Horses in single figures. Well, we got the shortest price favorite on the card coming up in race number 2, and that's number 7, No Filter, at 8 to 10. We then move along to just 2 other runners. A first timer, number 12, Village Green, at 7 to 1. And then number 13 is trading at 4 to 1. That's Wait for Green Light for Fabian Habib. 8 to 10, right price after that last start. In fact, after the last 2 runs, or too short?
Absolutely not the right price. He's far too short for me. I'd battle to take 2 to 1 about number 7, No Filter, if I'm honest, and I'll look to beat her. Even though she's in my placed accumulator, I've got 3 horses here. Number 12, Village Green, is bred for further, but I think that there could be something to come from her first time out. What we did see at the Vaal down the straight recently is that it does seem to be playing fair, and guys that are drawn on the inside stick to their stations and aren't afraid to sort of stay there, and they can be effective. So I think number 12, Village Green, expect a nice run from her on debut. I expect her to be running on strongly at the end. That would be Stuart Pettigrew's style, and also being by Flower Alley out of a Richman Gold's mare, go a little bit further. But I find it interesting that she's making her debut over 1,000 meters, because it also wouldn't be beyond Pettigrew to start her over 1450 or a mile. And I think there's going to be something to come from number 3, Dulona. Don't leave her out of anything. She's a value in the race. She gets blinkers equipped for the first time. I'd take the stats to say that she's run in much stronger maidens than what she faces this time around. I think with blinkers on and dropping in distance to 1,000 meters, I think that she's going to run a much, much better race, and she is without doubt my quartet roving banker.
I just want to touch briefly, about Cornet Spies. We know that he's a stable to follow season in and season out, and by the high standards that he sets, he's going through a quite patch, Alistair.
He is, Dees. I know that he's not lost a few horses by design, that he's cut down, because he did have a lot of average horses at the start of the year. So he moved them on and is now left with horses that he thinks he can do something with. It wasn't long ago that he moved from the Vaal, the traditional station of the Spies family, for many years, and gone to Rankies. He obviously hit the ground running at Rankies. I don't know whether I can attribute the flat spell to the move that it came about a year ago, and now the horses are sort of almost comfortable in their surroundings, and comfortable not being in the right sense, sort of comfortable on that day, almost chilled out in their surroundings. I don't know what it is, but it's a matter of time before one of these 2-year-olds steps out and does something, because that would be the Cornet Spies way, and everything will be good with the world again. I don't think it's all that far away, because I haven't seen a massive hint that the winners are going to start flowing, but I think the places are going to start coming now for Spies, and it will be a matter of time before the winners follow.
Must agree, because I had a chat to him over the weekend, and on a few occasions when he's travelled horses down to KZN, and we wish him well in getting things right at the Spies camp. Race number 2, good value there, horse number 3. Then on to the pick 6, the big one, over 1,200 meters. It's a fillies and mares maiden plate. This is how they're betting at the time of recording. Number 1, Law of Success, at 5 to 2. We then go on to number 8, Duenna, at 4 to 1. 22 to 10, number 10, Great Barrier. And then it is double figures, the balance. This race, I agree with the betting, and I think the right horse. Of course, we don't know about the unraced horses, who are not priced up anywhere near those at the top of the betting boards. But the right horses seem to dominate on top here. And I think 22 to 10, number 10, Great Barrier, possibly the right horse in the race. But I got a lot of respect for number 1 here, Law of Success. I don't know your thoughts on that filly, whether she's part of your play in the PA.
Well, Dees, I was not looking forward to talking about this race, because sadly number 10, Great Barrier, will be scratched. She is a very, very nice filly, but sadly she's going to have to win another day. She's not going to be running on Tuesday. Nothing major, but I think the fact that she's 22 to 10, and obviously now going to be SP the entire field. When things aren't quite 100%, don't want to shortchange the connections or the punters. So number 10, Great Barrier, will be a non-runner, unfortunately. So down to 1 and 8 here, Law of Success and Duenna. Law of Success comfortably beat Duenna last time. I actually expected to stay that way, although Duenna wouldn't even say moved up to a point. She didn't look dangerous at all, but I'd take a chance to say that she's better than her last run behind Simply Magic. Keegan DeMello, and I'll take Sirad for Stuart Pettigrew. But, you know, to find 7.5 lengths with Law of Success, who's banging at the door, still 7.5 lengths to find. So it's hard to see that turning around, but I do think she'll run a little closer, and a race that lacks a little bit of depth here. So I think there's a good chance of doubling up in the place accumulator and potentially the bar pot. Of the others, I think the source number 11, One Religion, although bred for much further, the bears watching. She is related to one way or another. I don't know if you remember D's, about 3 years ago, Roy Magnus sent out a horse owned by Robert Chung at the Vaal called One Way or Another, and won with absolute contempt, and then was sold to Hong Kong and sadly didn't make it through to the other side. So this is a half sister, One Religion. I'm going to watch her very, very closely. Watch the market, watch her go down to the start, and if she sort of finishes third or fourth just off them running on, remember the name.
One Religion, a 400,000 rand purchase, of course, with Roy knowing the family and what the sibling has done, as Alistair mentioned. You can see why they put their hand up for this individual. Number one, One Religion. Keep an eye on the betting, keep an eye on the filly. It could have been a nice find there as a first timer just on pedigree. Number 11, One Religion. So we are going with 1 and 8 here. That's going to be the play in the bar pot and the PA, and maybe even for the pick six.
Yep. 1 and 8 for me across the board, Steez.
Okay, on to race number 4. It is Jackpot 1, 1,200 meters. This is a maiden plate. And how are they betting at the time of recording? Again, we remind you this show being recorded 2 days prior. And just have a look at the declarations come race day. Number 1, Captain TikTok. I've taken down the betting there because I like the source for the pick six. That is at 10 to 1. 4, Raven Black is at 9 to 2. 5, and Action at 28 to 10. 7, Dreamland is at 4 to 1. I've taken down the betting for number 8 because that's a 10 to 1 shot. And number 9 at 14 to 1. But the other horse in single figures is number 11 at 4 to 1. I found this a very tricky race to try and minimize the spend in the pick six and the jackpot, but I think you could get away with possibly 3 runners in the PA.
I've gone 2 runners in the PADs. This is a race that intrigues me, and for all the right reasons. Number 5, And Action on debut. Go and watch where he was, where he came from, how he lagged and just didn't look like doing anything until the final 200 meters, and then he fired home. I know it looks well beaten by Real Relief, but for him to have run third where he was at about the 200-300 meter mark, please believe me that was a good run. I know that it only steps up 40 meters as opposed to 240 meters, which I would truly prefer, but I made a note to myself, and I'm going to follow my instinct here, that the next time And Action runs, I'm going to be on his side. So here we go. He's found a pretty useful field with a few horses that are banging at the door. Number 7, Dreamland, from a deep draw last time. I was actually chatting to Lucky Hudalakis after that, and he was bemoaning the fact that he ran the horse over 1450 on the inside track from a tricky draw. You just got absolutely no chance. You got to get so much luck in running, and Dreamland had absolutely none of it. But he was well beaten by a horse that I think a lot of in the form of Give Me Another Chance. So running in a straight line this time, I think number 7, Dreamland, is going to run much better. I think you'll get far more Dreamland from debut rather than Dreamland second time out. So those are the 2 horses who I think will fight it out. 1, Captain TikTok on the radar, but I think he's coming against progressive horses. So I'm going to take the stance despite the form of the stable and jockey. Not today. Follow him for next time. 4, Raven Black is just plagued with problems despite his ability. Of the beast runners, I actually think number 9, Knock 'em Stiff, finishes in front of number 8, Klitscross, but we'll see which way that goes. I don't think either of them will win, though. And then number 11, Scampton, put up a very nice debut. He'll appreciate the step up in distance, but I'd like to see him go over a little bit further. So I think that he'll chase 5 and 7 home, but won't be disgraced.
I think well spotted there with number 5, And Action. Terry in superb form. He's got Lorena up. And on that debut run, if there's more to come from this individual, as we expect from the Terry from one run to the next, could be the right horse at 28 to 10. Then on to race number 5, 1,200 meters, merit rated 75 handicap. Well, this is a race where we need all the help because they're betting 9 to 2 the field. I'll give you the horses in single figures, Alistair. Number 4, Blue Waters, is at 11-2. 5, Samoa at 9-2. 10, Ramchandani Road at 9-1. 11, Coming in Hot at 8-1. And then my selection, which is number 13, After Hours, with no degree of confidence, but I think a roving banker could be the right horse at 8-1. And then what it is, 10-1 and better the balance. Good luck here, Alistair, because punters, if you can get through here with the minimum spend, it's an absolute bonus in the exotics.
What a race this is. Goodness me. I've gone 4 horses in the place accumulator, and I'm certainly not going 4 horses in the pick 6 and jackpot. They are 3, 4, 5, and 10, my horses. I think Silent War's overpriced here. These are 2 runs in Joburg. They've been quite well spaced apart, but if you take Millahue from the same yard, who won a week ago at the Vaal, also having his 3rd start in Joburg, and he won under Diego de Gouveia, not impossible that lightning strikes. I'd obviously suggest that he's looking for further, but he's done little wrong, certainly in his local debut, did little wrong when staying on strongly to finish 2nd behind Siberian still. That form line is dead, though. And then last time behind Captain Dizzy was just a bit of a flat run. So I think 12 days later, I'd like to see Silent War come back to his local debut. If he does, I think he can win. But if he doesn't, then obviously he's vulnerable. 4 Blue Waters on the online sale. So by the time this race runs, the bidding will be open on number 4 Blue Waters. A positive run will do her a world of good. And I like her a bit more dropping back to 1,200 meters. I don't think she goes 1,400 meters or 1,500 meters, and those have been 3 of her last 4 starts. So back over 12, I'd expect a lot better. 5 Mescal, there's always talk out for the son of Flower Alley. He runs his races. His last start behind Cosmic Star was fair, but Cosmic Star was in a race of his own, so he wasn't too far behind the 2nd placed horse. If you eliminate the winner, then his form would look a lot more promising. And then number 10, Ramchandani Road. I know that he wasn't rested between his penultimate start and last start, but I saw him go down to the start, and I think he needed it. And there was an unbinder-like looking horse on the way down to the start, and I think he ran well. I think he'll be a lot better with that run under the belt, and I expect him to go quite close, number 10, Ramchandani Road. But it's open. You made mention of your horse After Hours. I nearly put him in. Samoa's always good value to follow. There's Coming in Hot, which I think is always alive. And even a horse like Timbavati River back over 1,200 meters is not one to discount for pick 6s and jackpots. This race is a matter of survival.
Sounding like you off Iron Tail these days.
I'd like him over a little bit further than 1,200 meters, D's. I think his last run, I actually fancied him, and he ran an absolute stinker, which he does from time to time. I think he's a Vaal straight specialist. When I say that, it's not like he can't run anywhere else, but when you go 1,600 meters down the Vaal straight, that's when I'm going to be on Iron Tail's side.
Well, it's uncanny how things happen. I picked up with Alistair earlier on in the show on, the quietness of the Speciad, and who knows, just mentioning that on the show could really turn things around for them. Race number 6, 1,400 meters, a graduation plate, and this is where we go to the best weighted column in these plated races. But let's have a look at the betting first. Number 1, Thunderstone, that's at 14-10. Then on to number 4, Arabedicho at 7-1. 5, Perfect Witness at 12-1. 6 is at 7-1. And then 7, Rock the Fox at 28-10. I'll tell you why I jotted down the betting for Perfect Witness, because I don't know if it's back to basics here now, 1,400 meters, because the best weighted column, she's possibly the horse that will keep you very interested here.
She keeps me interested from a pick 6 and jackpot perspective, D's. It's not necessarily a back to basics, but she won a graduation over 1,600 meters. That was her second start, her second win, and her first win came over 1,200 meters. So maybe this is the happy medium. It was worth trying her over the extended distance. Obviously, she ran well in the South African Fillies Classic, the Wilkebos South African Fillies Classic last season, and again in the Gerald Rosenberg. But look, it's plain to see that she hasn't quite been herself this season, but I can report that Candice doesn't think she's too far away from her best. She seems to be in a lot better space than she was in her last run. So if she does bring her best, then she is alive. She's got a huge chance, as does number 7, Rock the Fox. They're in pretty much the same boat, although they're a year apart. Rock the Fox is clearly not at the same level she was when being beaten a short head in the Grade 1 Tegweni last season. But if she does come back to her best, being the best weighted horse, she's not one to completely ignore. So I think both of them are in the same boat from a pick six perspective. But number one, Thunderstone is a nice horse. His penultimate start, he absolutely took off. He flew to get beaten a length and a half by Smith and Wesson, who of course won again and runs later on in the card. And last time he confirmed that with a good win. I always had a bit of a query about him over 1,400 meters, but with that said, he obviously ran third over a mile at his anti-penultimate start and has not been too far away behind the best over 1,400 meters down in champion season last season. Third run after rest, it's his peak run. Despite top weight, I think he's the horse they all need to beat. And this horse, number 6, Now I Got You, I'm waiting for him in a handicap, D's. I'm telling you now, I'm lining him up in a handicap. I actually hope that he runs out the first 4 on Tuesday. Not for any other reason than greed, because when I see him in a handicap next time over this type of distance, my head is going right down.
Yeah, and look at the names in his form line. I think that will keep you very interested. Alistair could be on the mark with number 6. Now I Got You. It's amazing how, just chatting on a show can refresh your memory. And I go back to that day when Rock the Fox was, there had to be a winner and there had to be a loser. It could have been a dead heat between herself and Canadian Summer. But the point I'm getting is it's such short, close margins that separate yourself from, grabbing that Group 1 success and a crowning moment for a filly like Canadian Summer, who was crowned Equus champion. I mean, this game, it's just margins at times, Alistair, and you've had the pleasure of calling these horses in close finishes. And I mean, you must feel sometimes for the horses that, have to settle for second.
The person I felt most sorry for there was Kelvin Habib, because remember, he celebrated,
correct,
thinking that he had won a short head from Canadian Summer. And it's actually uncanny, although Canadian Summer's only been seen 2 or 3 times since, how Canadian Summer's maintained a high level of form and Rock the Fox hasn't, although not being disgraced. So, sure, number 7, Rock the Fox, has clearly got the ability, but it's just a matter of whether she can find it. Maybe coming out fresh will do the trick with his daughter of Canford Cliffs. And then talking about tight margins, there was obviously absolutely none of that at Hollywoodbets Scottsville on Saturday. The judge had the easiest job between first and second in those grade 1s. And on that note, obviously, Rock the Fox, trained by Sean Terry, and Sean again with 3 grade 1 winners at Hollywoodbets Scottsville, not for the first time, and then also a second with Thunderstruck. And talking of Thunderstruck, he of course beat Now I Got You on that day at Hollywoodbets Scottsville about 12 months ago. So maybe there's something to look for there.
Right. Now that you spoke about Terry, you are going to tell me if I'm way off the mark here. Race number 7 is over 1,000 meters. It's a middle stakes. This is the way they're betting. Number 1 at 7-2. Number 2 at 33-10. Number 5 at 7-1. 6 at 9-1. 7 at 11-2. And 8, a horse that's been kind to me, and I'm sure to Alistair, Smith and Weston, at 5-1. Possibly the horse that just wins, and he doesn't get too much with regards to his his merit rating being hiked up. Now, am I way off, Alistair, by suggesting that this 20-1 shot, number 3 Constable, who I know on the recent form gives you no confidence at all, but he's far better than that. I mean, some of his form lines prior to that has to keep you interested.
When I was going through this card, I very nearly tipped a jackpot, and Constable was in there. And never mind the fact that his last 2 runs looked bad, they were bad, but his penultimate start on a sticky Vaal classic track, Donald Geertsen stuck to the inside. I went 1,000,000 miles an hour and stopped dead in his track, so ignore that. Then last time behind Smith and Wesson, it was just a flat run. I'd attribute that to second run after a rest. Look at the earlier form, look what he's run against, look what the races he's been in, and everything else that goes with it. I think that he's going to run a far better race. If not winning, I can see him running into the first 4. I like 2 horses here. They are the 3-year-olds, number 2 Trompy, who was all over last time, and to be honest, it was a flat run. It wasn't a bad run, but it was just a flat performance from Trumpy. But he's got the margins to turn it around with number 8, Smith & Wesson, who, as you say, just continues on a remarkable run of form. He was a bad maiden, Smith & Wesson, a very, very bad maiden. He won one down in KZN with Lorenzo Karim, but it took him an eternity, and that looked like that. It looked like he had battled to get anywhere near a rating of 80, never mind 90, and here we are. He's a 4-time winner rated 90. I didn't like him in his penultimate start when he was under sufferance and beat Foster Novo, and I thought last time, no, the handicappers got him. And he beat Mover and Shaker, who has run since, didn't rip up any trees, but ran in the division 10 times stronger than this. There's already been a winner out of that form. I'm not going to make the same mistake with number 8, Smith & Wesson, even though one of these days the handicapper is going to grip him. I'm going to follow him until he's beaten. So 2 and 8 for me, but yes, I have a lot of time for your horse, number 3, Constable, and another horse that I wouldn't be rushing to write off would be number 5, Vegas High Rise.
Yeah, number 3, Constable, could be the value there at a big price of 20-1, but I agree, 2 and 8 could be the right horses for the place accumulator in the small field at the time of recording. 9 runners go to post. Then on to the 8, we close things off over 1,800 meters. This is a D division class, a merit rated 75 handicap. The way they're betting, Hollywoodbets, number 2, 8-1, number 3 at 5-1, 4 at 4-1. 5 is a 7-1 shot, 7 at 4-1, and that is it. It is 10-1 and better the balance. Banker in the place accumulator or not? I don't know, but maybe number 7. Nothing else matters. Purely on that last start, which was his local debut, you had to be very encouraged because Lord Varis on his day is a very capable horse from the Paul Matchett stable. And I see they got them joint. The recent maiden winner, number 4 at 4-1 and 7 at 4-1. I think there'll be more to come from this horse, Alistair, number 7.
These I don't want to know. I'm bankering number 7. Nothing else matters in absolutely everything. I think he'll win. His last start, I think he needed, but the best part about his last run is that he was able to keep pace with the field. Something that he didn't do in Cape Town. He dropped the bit. He was scrubbed at the whole way, and he did his usual tricks of running on late, but far too late. He ran on late and far too late last time, but at least he travelled with the field. That was over a distance short of his best. I told myself and everyone that was around me that next time Nothing Else Matters runs, he will win. Well, here we are. He's found an MR75, as you described, a computer from D division, and I think that he is potentially going to win a few this winter in Joburg. I think that he's learned how to race now, having transferred up to the Highveld. I think the tracks will suit him as well, being a long-striding son of Elusive Fort. I think there's everything in his favour. I mean, Total Surrender's obviously got improvement to come. He's unexposed, but he beat Mayor of Maryvale last time. Mayor of Maryvale's not the type of horse you want to hang your hat on. Over to you. There's a valuable form update, by the way, from Thursday. He wasn't beaten too far in that race. That Breeze overran second, and the winner's name, unfortunately, escapes me at the moment, but it's going to come back to me soon. Mumbo Contesio. So over to you. I think has a chance of repeating a similar type of run, despite coming back in distance, and obviously we've got to see if he does make it to the track just 5 days later. Warren Boortz isn't normally scared of doing that, but I think they've all got number 7. Nothing Else Matters to beat. I'm going to bank him in all bets. I know it's a long day to wait for race 8 for your banker and your best bet on the card, but at 4-1, I'm going to have to put my head down and trust my instinct here.
When you need it most of the time is in the lucky last. Race number 8, 1,800 meters, number 7. I agree with Alistair, the horse to beat. Good value at the time of recording, 4-1. For me, all I can say is, dare I leave out number 10, Oyster King. Dare I leave that out. I think in a larger pick 6 firm, possibly. And that will be one that I will be including. Alistair, you've done a place accumulator for the show. You want to go through it?
Yep, so the place accumulator begins in race number 2 on this 8-race program. First leg, I've gone 3, 7, and 12. The shortest price favourite in the card, I think, is far too short. So I'm backing that up and looking for a result. By 1 and 8 in the second leg, so Law of Success and Duenna. By 5 and 7 in the third leg. Then the fourth leg, which is race number 5, include anything else that catches your eye. Don't hold me to these 4 numbers, but I'm hoping to survive 3, 4, 5, and 10. But banker 1 Thunderstone, but you might want to bracket that with the 2 fillies who are well weighted. If they come back to best, they could easily run 1, 2. But 2 and 8 in the penultimate leg, Smith and Wesson and Trompy, and then final leg, nothing else matters.
Well, thanks to Alistair, and we remind you that this show is being recorded 48 hours earlier due to some studio maintenance. Thank you, Alistair. Thanks for your time, and all the best if you're racing and if you're watching the Vaal on Tuesday, and hopefully your selections fall into place. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dees. Always appreciate it, and all the best with that maintenance tomorrow. I don't think it'll take too long.
Thanks to Alistair Cohen, and we'll see him back in KZN country this Saturday for the Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge, featuring a few other features on the day, including the Cup Trial and the Tibishina Stakes. From the entire Gallop TV team, Alistair Cohen, myself, Dees Dianan, have a blast, make a huge profit. Hopefully it turns out to be a very successful day at the Vaal on Tuesday, and until we meet again, you take care. Salani Gasle.